And so, it continues. Hello there! Welcome back to the Writers Live Vlogs, where I let you know about my own process, what I've been up to, and I offer writing advice and inspiration along the way. My name is Max, also known as M. Karen, and today I'm going to be letting you know what I've been doing, how my writing week has been going, now that we are kind of formally in the middle of October, going towards November. And you know what November is all about, so I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, as well as talking a little bit about the idea of figuring out what should be happening next in your novel. You know that feeling when you sit down and you're not sure what should be happening next? Well, I'm going to share my thoughts and my little bit of a personal experience regarding that very same subject this week. Before I go anywhere, though, I want to let you know that I take comments from the questions. Still got it from the comments down below. If you have a writing advice question, I will answer it. I always make it a point to answer, but it may also get featured in a future video. Oh, and one more thing. The following you're about to hear is nothing but my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel. Instead, take it as the ramblings of a silly person with a slowpoke on their shoulder. Can you tell the difference? Which one is which? Oh, there's like two Maxes. They're all identical. Silliness out of the way. Actually, that's not true. There's more silliness coming up. This is a vlog. This is more me than you usually get. 40% more Max in every video. That's the promise, you guys. So, what have I been doing this week? I've been writing lots. If you watched my previous video, I've been writing by hand again, and it's been helping a lot with my anxiety. And it's been helping me push away from the need to just backspace every few sentences. It's really been helping. So yes, lots of writing. I'm going to talk more about what happened during the writing this week in the next segment. But first, what else have I been doing? Kitty and I were celebrating the 1-year anniversary of our other channel, Dango Duo, with a big AMA. So we're working on that. We're doing like a best of series with a bunch of highlight clips from all of our LPs. It's been work, a little bit of work. But it's been fun. It's great to think that we've already been doing that for a year, and it's been a great great fun time. Personal stuff. What has Max been doing when they are not working? I've been playing games because I love games, and also because a viewer on Dango Duo gifted us Persona 5, and we did a full playthrough of that. Not on the channel because you can't LP that game because Atlas says no. We did a full playthrough on our off time, Kitty and I. We finished the whole game. We're going through New Game Plus. And by the time this goes up, it's entirely likely that we've already finished the game. We've gotten every achievement, which is great. That game has been a delightful blast. It sucks because playing another role-playing game after Persona 5 is gonna suck. Because Persona 5 is so needlessly polished. Mirror Sheen does not describe how polished that game is. And the story is fantastic. Kitty and I were probably going to do a big spoiler cast. If you want to actually know my full thoughts on it, we'll do a big spoiler cast on Dango Duo soon. It might even be up by the time this goes up. Probably not. Probably not. Other than that, I've been shifting into playing games about sneaking. I love Metal Gear. I mean, you would know. So the long-time viewers would know that I love the sneaking series Metal Gear, because I did a full LP of Acid, the best game in that series. It's the most canon, too. It's the most canon. It's more canon than Ghost Babel, and that's all that matters. That's a joke for, like, one person. A person who's like, whoa, someone else played Metal Gear Ghost Babel on the Game Boy Color? The answer is yes. Just you and me, and that's it. But yeah, I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Now, I'm not gonna go on long about this because you want writing advice, and I'm gonna give it to you. But let me just say this: before anyone out there thinks of making a judgment call or to assume things based on what I like, I have always enjoyed Metal Gear's stupidity. It's a very silly story, told in a very anime style, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate its commitment to how ridiculous it is. It's very pulpy in that way. I'm not about to stand and defend its story, especially the story of Metal Gear Solid 5, which is not particularly good, for the very little there is. But I enjoy the game, and I grew up playing those games, and I really enjoy the mechanics of the 5th game. It's a very well-polished game, a fantastic engine, not super realistic, but the simulation there works. It's a game about sneaking, about rescuing prisoners in a big battlefield, infiltrating bases, killing or choosing not to kill guards. It's cool stuff. I freaking love it. Oh man, I love sneaking about. And someone out there may be wondering, Max, I know you love sneaking around, and the answer is yes, because I have always loved the archetype of the thief, the rogue character, sneaking around unseen like a ghost. Very fitting for the month of October. Thief ghosts. You know that feeling when something vanishes randomly? It was a thief ghost. That ghost is a thief! Yeah, I love sneaking about. I made a poll a while back on Twitter. You should follow me on Twitter, because I make random polls all the time. Sometimes just to be like, hey, guys, what color am I going to do my nails? I didn't make a poll this week, because I really wanted to go back to gold. But I was like, hey, what classical D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, class do you think I am? And the options were like fighter, which is your all around tank damage dealing character, wizard, cleric, or thief, which are the actual 4 pillars of the D&D original D&D. Fighter, cleric, wizard, thief, and a bunch of people put wizard because I make worlds with words, and that's true. That is true. I make worlds with words, and I make magic with words, but I'm a thief. Oh, I'm a gosh doodly darn thief. I love... Oh, okay. Last story before we talk about writing advice, I promise. There is this board game called Munchkin that is kind of like a card game version of D&D, except you're fighting against the other players. And in it, there's a class called the Thief. And if you know Munchkin, you know that Thief is the greatest class in that game. It's the only class that can take things from other players, and I'm such a good thief. I'm so good that whenever I play with people, they go out of their way to make sure that I cannot be a thief, or like they remove the class by using abilities in the game, and it's just like, no, Max, you can't be a thief, you're gonna be a cleric instead. And I'm like, I don't get to steal. I love thieving, you guys. I love thieving. I've always loved that aesthetic. So getting to be like a roguish, sneaking about, taking people out non-lethally is just, it's right up my alley. It's literally the reason why I love Metal Gear. It's just, you're just sneaking about, never get detected, be like a ghost. Later in the day, the next guard shows up and it's like, whoa, everyone is knocked out and all the prisoners are gone. What happened? Anyhow, enough random hashtag the life of Max nonsense. I hope you learn a little bit more about me. Probably not. You just reinforces the reality that I'm a dork. Holy crap, the sun has left and it's just like overcast, and now this perfect lighting. It's perfect neutral lighting. Okay, so 2 o'clock is the time to record videos now, apparently. Anyhow, today, I'm going to be talking about what happened during my writing session. And one thing I really enjoy about going out shadow writing, and that is writing in the shadows, writing in the public, writing at coffee shops, bookshops, libraries. Always buy a drink, always tip the baristas. Those are the rules of shadow writing. And I was doing a lot of that, walking around. And a part of me, the very, utilitarian part of me is like, oh, walking around is a waste of time. I'm spending 30 minutes walking to this library, and then 30 minutes walking back. That's an hour of the day. That's 15% of the day that I could be doing something else. Of course, don't be crazy like me. Don't be needlessly utilitarian like me. Because what do I do in those 30 minutes? I spend that time walking. I do the same thing that I would do back in the day when I would take the bus to college, or when I would be in the car going to my my day job. I would think about the story. I would put on good music, delightful music that reminds me of the world and the characters, and I would think, what should happen next in the story? What is that character gonna say next? Who's showing up next? What's that character gonna do? And I'm telling you, all of the ideas, everything that's going into this novel is coming from those 30 minutes of walking to the coffee shop slash library where I'm gonna go write. It's putting on music and thinking, okay, this is what happened before, what's happening next? What's happening next? Who's showing up next? What's the next threat? We looked at what happened before, what happening next? And it's been fun, because I never do a lot of outlining. Because, as I've said in the past, the instant I start writing, characters go in their own direction. It always happens. The story is its own living thing. And for me, it's less about trying to wrangle it, you know, put a leash on it, try to hold it down, and more about just following it. My stories are more just that, they're more like documentaries. Like here we have the first draft in its natural habitat. And something like that. So it boils down to a lot of like, I don't really know what's happening next in the story. So through the act of walking, I start thinking about it on the moment-to-moment basis. I never try to think outside of the scope of what I'm going to be writing that day, mostly because you never know. If I start thinking that, okay, 5 chapters from now, this is gonna happen, and then the story kind of takes a turn away from where I thought the story was gonna go, I don't want to say I feel like I'm wasting time, but like, it's just setting yourself up for disappointment. I don't know. Things are not gonna work out if the story doesn't want to be wrangled and you try to wrangle it later on. It's just not gonna work. And this brings me to the one thing I wanted to talk about, and that is a little bit of a nice touch on when you're sitting there thinking, and you're not sure what should happen next in your story. What do you do? Do you ask? I mean, I'm gonna just say what I do. What I do is that I sit down and I ask myself, what should happen next in this story? The key word is what should, might, hopefully, maybe happen in this story. Because, and I'm gonna give you some high-minded stuff. Are you ready? Don't think of your book as a book. Think of it as a story. Because it's very easy to fall into the pitfall of looking at your story like a book, like a finished book, and thinking to yourselves, well, if I consider the pacing right now, we've come from a period of high action, so we must slow it down to a period of slow action, you know? Because that would kind of fit into the whole up climb of the way stories are supposed to go. And that's not only ineffective, you're kind of looking for the solution in the wrong place. Because I think the solution to your whenever you have a question about the story, the answer has to come from the story, never outside of it. Whether it is thinking about what should happen next, or just literally writing and an idea comes up. That's most of my notes are me in the midst of writing, thinking, oh, I didn't realize that this antagonist would have this ability, or that the antagonist would look like this, or that they would be piloting something that looks like this. And what do I think at that moment? Like a little light goes on in my head, and I go, gotta write a note about it. And I just pull out my pen, and on the margins of the page, I'm like, please introduce the way the robot looks super early on, so the viewers have a mental image. Or just so that it serves as a little bit of like foundational work of like, oh yeah, these kind of robots exist in this world. Introduce it super early on. Hugs and kisses, Max. XO. And then Max from the future takes care of it. I think the least effective, not to say the worst thing you could do, is to look at your story as a series of events tied around the idea of pacing. And this is very meta. Don't take it very seriously. I don't think pacing actually matters in stories, because most people don't read your story in one sitting. I've been reading Battle Royale. Yes, that Battle Royale book. I've been reading that book for like 3 months, reading like 5 pages at a time. That's the worst pace. Like, I mean, if I was to judge it, I would say, man, the pacing is awful. I'm reading it in a super unconventional way, and I'm not being gripped by it. I'm actually super gripped by it. But the idea of pacing, it's kind of a little bit flawed, because people don't read books in one sitting. Especially me, I'm a very slow reader. Except when I'm super gripped by a story, in which case I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I just read the first 3 books of a series of unfortunate events in like 2 days. It's fine. This is fine. What I want you to take from this is not the idea that that pacing is wrong, but rather that you can't look at it as though the rule for how your story should go. You don't have to have slow moments followed by exciting moments, followed by slow moments again. This is not a rule. It's not the way that the story has to go. Unless it has to go that way. Again, the key is, whenever you're sitting down to write and you don't know what should happen next, is to ask yourself, what should happen next in this story? What would happen next? Oh, if you're writing chronologically, of course, because if you're not writing chronologically, then you don't really have this problem, but that should really just show you how I think, how I write, that I didn't stop to consider that maybe someone else will be writing in a different order, but it's fine. At the end of the day, though, when you're uncertain, look for the solution inside of your story. That way, it will feel the most authentic. Because instead of feeling like something that came out of nowhere, that came out of something that is not related to the story, it came from within. So, there you go. A lot of silliness, a lot of just updates, me, #me, reinforcing you that I'm a big dork, and you can be too. You can be a big dork too. For the time being, I think we're tagging along. Sorry for the rambly video. I'm getting back into things, and I hope you enjoyed my silliness, because it's what I got. It's what I got. I could make these videos more scripted, but then I feel they would feel a lot less than when it feels like when I'm feeling like myself. That was needlessly complicated. Of course it was. Hey there, everybody. My name is Max, also known as MKaren. Did you know? I have a Twitter account. You can follow that for updates on when videos go up, when Patreon posts go up, and just general silliness on my life, and videos of me trying to be sneaky in Metal Gear, or whatever game I'm playing at the moment. Additional to that, I have a Patreon. If you enjoy my content and want to make sure that I can continue on making it for the foreseeable future, you can pledge a little bit of your money every month and get cool perks. Like, for instance, for $1 a month, you can watch all of my videos a week in advance. You can go right now and watch next week's videos right now. That's crazy. Additional to that, if Patreon is not your cup of coffee, then how about a cup of tea instead? Link to a one-time donation in the description down below. It would mean the world to me, and I would really appreciate it, because writers need energy, and I actually do use that money for coffee now that I'm going out to write. So, for now, as we are in the formal outro, I want to let you know, the sun's coming out again. Okay, better wrap up this video quickly. Up here, writing advice / writers vlog playlist. Up here, subscribe button, Patreon button, and a button to my other channel with my best friend Kitty, where we play games and we're very, 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 very silly people. If you want to watch the big AMA, Ask Me Anything that we did on that channel, it should be up probably by the time this goes up. But yeah, that's a thing for you to do. Otherwise, thank you for tagging along. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me. And I hope to see you on the next one.